Andrew Bishop here with CameraMillsRadio.com. Now I'm trying to find UK's #1 fan. Maybe you've had a custom ball made. Maybe you have a custom picture with your name on it. No matter what you have, no matter how big your collection, I want to see it. Write me an email at andrewbishop@gmail.com or follow me and send me a message on Twitter at AndrewBishop. Go Wildcats!
All my life. I've been to 2 national championships, and watching them 2 games was just outstanding, just watching them win the national championship. The 98 and the 212. Johnny Cox in 58, I just always liked him. He's just a big old boy that played hard and played on that 58 team. He was probably an old player, and probably Anthony Davis is probably one of the best players I've seen in recent time. Have no idea. Probably picked up something that they was giving away down at Rupp Arena and brought it home, and all at once I started picking up things, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I had a room full of stuff, and it just went from there. I've seen things, and I don't know what happened. I have a basketball from the 1953 team that played in the first UKIT, Kentucky National Invitational Tournament, signed by all the players on that team. That did not win the national championship because they was ineligible on account of but they beat the team that did win it. I have that ball signed by, and it's an Adolph Rupp ball. That's the one. I have the net that they cut down in 1958 when they won the national championship. And then I have a banner that I take with me everywhere that's got over 200 Kentucky basketball players signed on it. No, because they're all Kentucky basketball players, and I like them all the same. Every one of them. I've gone to Florida, everywhere to get their signatures, and every one of them is nicer than the next. And so I could not pick one favorite over the other ones. I guess one Sunday I woke up and I told my wife, I said, Eddie Sutton's getting old and I'm not going to have his autograph. And I got in my automobile and drove to Oklahoma to get his autograph, and knocked on his door, and his wife came to the door and said, "You Kentucky ball players are crazy." She said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I don't have your husband's autograph, and I would like to have it on a basketball. Do you think he would sign it?" She said, "Well, he's not here, but he'll be back in a half an hour." And I said, "Fine, I'll go get a bite to eat." She said, "If you go up to this little restaurant, he's going to come in there and get an ice cream, so you can just get it there." And sure enough, about 15 minutes or 20 minutes after I was at that restaurant, he pulls in, and I got pictures of him signing my basketball in Oklahoma, and then I drove back. You're always looking for that extra piece that you don't have. I like the old pieces. I just got this pair of shoes from Dale Brown because he was the Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row, and he asked me if I would like to have them, and so I now have those in my collection. I don't know, because you know what I'm saying, you're just constantly looking at. I'm sure there's pieces out there that I would, once I see it, I would love to have. I got a poster with all the coaches that have won the national championship from Kentucky, and I have all the signatures on them except, well, I don't have Coach Rupp because he's gone, but I don't have Patino's, and I'm working very hard to get Patino, and then I'll have all the 4 coaches plus Rupp on that photograph. So I'm working on getting down and see Coach. Sometimes they say he's a little hard because he's at Louisville now, and it's a Kentucky piece. Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody out there that might have a different collection. You know, everybody has their own unique thing, and I'm sure and everybody thinks they have the best. So I'm not saying I have the biggest collection. I have no idea. I bought that from Kmart, and there's another Kmart getting ready to close, and I'm going to get it because that way I can use it for posters because I got so many posters, and big posters take up so much room, and that's very easy to use that way. So that's why I got that. First of all, they have, it was like Joby Hall when he came up the first year. He said, I was expecting a little garage or a little room, and he just opened the door and he said, wow, that was his words. And he said, Joby said he had never seen anything like it. And that's what most of them say, that they have never seen anything like it. Probably 50 or 60, maybe more, but I would say 50 or 60. Larry Stamper and his brother gave me a picture of supposed to be the last huddle of Adolph Rupp. It was the last huddle when he retired, and it is signed by Adolph Rupp, and Larry and Marvin Stamper gave me that poster, which I'm very proud of, and it's hanging over there. The Troppers had given me some basketballs, and a basketball by, yes, there has been some that gave me, and others I have bought. Many other things I have bought. Probably over 200. I don't have too many jerseys, maybe 10 or 12, 15. Well, I got at least one poster for every year since 1975 till now. I have a basketball that is signed by Adolph Rupp and Happy Chandler. And it's an old ball, and it's in not the best shape, and I just keep it stored away because I don't want it. It's very hard to make out the signatures. You can make it out very fine, but you have to look for it. You couldn't put it in a case and anybody would see it. That's not my net. My wife got that net. We had the reunion here, and it was the 2013 reunion, I think, and Ed Beck lives in Arizona, and we invited all the players, just like we always do, and he came from Arizona to the reunion, and he brought the net with him, and he said, asked his kids before he left, he said, do you want this net? It's a Kentucky net that they cut down in 1958, and they said no. They were from Arizona. They've been in Arizona all their life, and they didn't know the Kentucky tradition. I guess they just didn't want the net. So he brought her back knowing that he would not get rid of that net, because he said, if I don't, they're going to throw it in the garbage or someplace. So they brought her back, and after going through this barn, he said, I know where the net belongs. And they had gave me a cane for having the party with all the 58 players on that cane. And they felt bad that my wife was sitting there with me. So instead of offering me the net, they told my wife Carolyn to come up, and they presented the net to her. And she was dumbfounded. Everybody in the audience was dumbfounded when I got that net, because they knew he was going to give me a little piece of the net, but they didn't know I was going to get the whole net.
Unbelievable.
It was just amazing.
What a special moment.
And he's such a special guy. The Commonwealth Athletic Club that presents the trophy every year said some of their main employees or people that represent the trophy was up, and they said instead of having it stored, it belongs here. So it stays here 50 weeks of the year, and 2 weeks they take it out and present it to the player that it gets it that year, and then they bring it back. And meeting that basketball player that had played for Kentucky, and here's some of the stories that they tell. About 5, 6, 7 years ago, Bill Smith, who played on the 58 team, and I had met, and we became friends, said, we meet down in Georgetown once a month, and I can't drive down there anymore. He said, would you like to drive down and take me down and meet some of the ball players? And I said, oh my God, yeah. So they met at a little place in Georgetown, and there would be 3 or 4 players, different players all the time, and just sitting there at that table, listening to them tell stories of back in 1958, you would not imagine how much drill that would be to somebody like me. I mean, some of the stories are just about Rupp and about different, like being in Georgia back in 1958, and it was in old gyms with metal stands, and they would be underneath the stands in their dressing room, and the people would get there early and start stamping, and it would be so loud in the dressing room that you couldn't hear yourself talking. Stories like that. It's just, you know, and hunting up bobby pins for Rupp to put along the way where they knew he was going to be, because he thought bobby pins was good luck, and different stories like that. It's just unbelievable, some of the stories that they tell. I think Kentucky ball players and their families is what Kentucky basketball is all about, because it's one big family, and I feel I'm part of that family. It's just unbelievable how nice they are, and when you go up and get asked for their autograph, they'll sit there and talk to you for hours, and that has to be family. That is not somebody just signing an autograph for you. Back before the first reunion, I was down in to get some autographs. I got Frank Ramsey, and he said, "You ought to go up and get Lou Latropoulos." And so we went up, and he signed some things for me, and I showed him my book, and had some of the stuff in here, and he said to me, he said, "I'd like to see that." And you know how players say they were going to see it. And so I said, "Fine, anytime you want to come." He said, "How about Wednesday?" So that following Wednesday, him and his daughter Tara came up, and they saw this, and they said, "We're getting ready to have a players reunion, and I think the players should see this." And that's basically how it got started. And then the players came, the 58 players, all the 58 players were there. And, they gave me this hat that I'm wearing, which is a treasure to me, because it's the Fiddling Five, and it's got the Fiddling Five on it, and they had presented it to me, and it's one of my cherished hats. But that's how it got started. KET called me, and they wanted the 25 of the most unique things in Kentucky, and my ball from Lou Latropoulos is one of the 25 unique things in Kentucky, along with something from Daniel Boone and different people. But they came up and did a segment on that basketball that I got from Lou Latropoulos. I think Dick Darrison, he played in 1944, is the oldest player that's been here. And the newest player would be, probably Saison Prince was here last year. And I think he was the newest player. It was really amazing, because, you know, he's such a star, and he's such a really nice guy. And he got to the picnic late, because some of the older players that live way down in Kentucky, they come early and they leave early. You know, it's 3 or 4 hour drive to go back to Hazard and that part. So they come and they leave early. So when they would leave like 2:30 or so, and he pulled in, and some of them stopped and shook his hand and came back for a few minutes. And so he ate and came in here, and he just sort of looked at it, and he probably took 2.5 hours, 3 hours. He really surprised me, because he went around and checked every item, and then he came out and he said, "It's just amazing." And his father-in-law was with him, and he has invited me down to his place he's down in Lexington, his father, and he's planning on coming back. He's just a super, you couldn't ask for a nicer person. He's just a nice guy. Be a good fan. Don't harassment and I don't see that, but when I'm talking about harassment, I mean be a good fan, and not a boasting fan that makes fun of other people and things like that. Good fans are for Kentucky, and not making fun of other players or another team. Go Cats!